Good morning, everybody. I've wanted to do a video for quite some time on a subject which is very interesting. It's taken me quite a long time to think about it and taken me quite a long time to have the courage to do it. I want to talk about interpersonal relationships and the relationship between people in which there is actions of the will are exercised. There's different levels. I'm going to suggest that there are 5 levels. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what the 5 levels are, and then we'll go through each one of them, and we can examine ourselves and we can examine the relationships that we have with people, and we can determine whether we have any uncomfortable or even dangerous situations in our interpersonal relationships. Now, the first one is what I call self-determination. Now, the second one is stable relationship. The third one is mutual respect. The fourth one is submission. And then the fifth one is domination. So let's go back through those again. The first one is self-determination. The second one is stable relationship. The third one is mutual respect. The fourth is submission. And the fifth is domination. Now you'll notice that from 1 to 5, all of them are a step up, a level step up from a good relationship to being an exceedingly bad relationship. And when we get to number 5, domination is almost always unpleasant and uncomfortable. Self-determination is nearly always a very pleasant experience. But let's talk about them one by one. Now, self-determination, level 1, is when there is no conflict of the will. This is where a person in private makes a decision entirely for themselves and in such a way that there doesn't need to be any reference to another person to make that decision. They're able to determine something entirely for themselves. Now, a good example of this might be you wander down to the shop and you buy yourself a loaf of bread and you are going to eat it yourself, or you might buy something else, and whatever it is that you're doing doesn't affect anybody else. It's a decision that you can make absolutely and entirely by yourself. It's private. Most people are not even aware that you're doing what you're doing. And that's why it's generally a very pleasant experience to be able to make decisions entirely for oneself without having to get permission or getting advice from anybody else. That's the first level. Of course, we can't all live in complete self-determination. We just can't do that because we live with other people. So the second stage then is what I call stable relationships. Now, this also is a situation in which there's no conflict of the will, but it's based on prior agreement and knowledge. So, for example, using the same analogy, I might go and buy a loaf of bread, okay, for the family. But I already know, because of prior experience and because of agreements that we reached in the past, the type of bread or the type of loaf that other people would also like to have. So this isn't a conflict again. This is still, it's not private, but it's within a group of people. It's interpersonal relationships, and there's no conflict because based on knowledge and based on a prior agreement, a decision is able to be made. It's still a decision that's going to be made, but it's a decision which is mutual. It's based on a stable relationship. Okay. Now the next stage is mutual respect. We've had self-determination, we've had stable relationship, now we have mutual respect. Now at this particular level we have agreement on what we will do together with another person, or with another group of people. Now occasionally we will have to abide by decisions which are not what we personally would do ourselves, but because we're living together within a group, we listen to one another. And for example, a husband and wife, the husband listens to the wife and the wife listens to the husband, and they have mutual respect for one another. And so they agree together to do, to make decisions and to do things together which are pleasant and which are respectful of one another. So I might, for example, submit to a particular point that my wife agrees on, insists on, and vice versa. So this is a place of mutual respect. It's where we agree together on a particular point. Okay. Now the next level is what I call submission. Now at this particular level, there is actually no agreement with the will of another person. This is a level in which an individual, oneself, voluntarily submits to another person, and they do it even if something's happening that may be not their personal preference. They nevertheless submit to it because they have mutual trust. We trust the person to make a decision which will be for our benefit, and it's permissible and it's pleasant. It's nothing wrong with being submissive. In fact, it's a key Christian virtue to be submissive. Okay, but just bear in mind that in submission, there's no agreement of the will. Okay, but there is a willingness to submit in trust to somebody else. Okay, now the last one is what I call domination. So we've had self-determination, stable relationship, mutual respect, submission, and then we have finally domination. Now in domination, we also have something similar to the previous in the sense that there's no agreement of the will for another person. However, this particular time, instead of it being comfortable, instead of it being a matter of mutual trust, this time it's a matter of being uncomfortable. Decisions are being made that you actually don't agree with, and it's very uncomfortable. And there are a number of words associated with domination which we need to just talk about, and I've put them in order of severity. The first one is coercion. Now, coercion is when people dominate other people, and they do it through all sorts of means. For example, they may influence what job you would be able to have. They influence the decisions that you make, and they put peer pressure, or they put all sorts of pressure on you. It may be in the home, it may be at work, and it may be in church. They put pressure on you to do what they want you to do, and that pressure is unpleasant and it's uncomfortable, and you feel as if you can't escape from it, and that's what's called coercion. Coercion almost invariably is going to be a very bad thing indeed. Now, sometimes when a person is coercing, they will say, well, I'm doing it for your benefit. Or they may say, well, I'm only looking out for you. I'm only trying to help you. Okay, but you know very well that that person is going beyond what is a normal interpersonal relationship. Now, the next stage I suggest is what I call imposition. This is where somebody imposes their will upon another person. Again, it's always uncomfortable, it's usually unwanted, and it's usually resisted. But the person imposes their will on you, and again, they may say, well, it's only going to be for your own benefit, it's only going to be what's going to be good for you. But this is really hiding behind the fact that this person is imposing themselves. Now, for example, you might have your boss imposing upon you to do things which you don't want to do at all. You just don't want to do it. But he's the boss, and so he can impose himself. He feels that he can impose himself upon you. and make you do what he would like you to do. And part of that, it comes into the next concept, which I call invasion. Invasion is when you come into a room, or you come into somebody's personal space, or you come into somebody's level of responsibility. You might, for example, impose yourself upon somebody in an area in which it is not your responsibility. I just see the point. So, for example, you might have in a business whereby the caretaker imposes himself upon the treasurer, you see, or you might have a situation in which anybody just imposes themselves upon a person. The next stage is invasion. At this stage, the person actually comes physically into the space of where somebody should be. So, for example, at work, you might discover, you turn up at work and find that somebody's moved you from your desk, or they've moved some of your personal belongings to another place. This is imposing themselves and invading your space and your sense of position. And you can imagine all the variety of implications that might happen in this regard. And the last one I put on my list is violence. This is where a person physically takes hold of you against your will and makes you do something that is uncomfortable or that you don't want to do. So let's just describe those four again. It's all under the category of domination. There's no agreement in the will of another person to do these things. It's uncomfortable, unpleasant, and unwanted. It is coercion. It is imposition. It is invasion. And it is violence. Now, the interesting thing about all these different levels is this, is that sometimes people will use these tactics, if I might call them that. They might use these tactics to make you feel bad or to make you look bad. So, for example, a person may do something to you at your house or in your work or at your business or whatever it might be, and they will turn around, and what they've done is invaded your space. For example, let's suppose they've invaded this. They've moved into your area of responsibility, and it's unwanted. Okay. Now, when you resist it and you say, no, I don't want you to do that, they will then say, oh, well, you're being a dictator. And the reality, of course, is that you're not being a dictator. The person that's being a dictator is the one that's doing it to you, and all you're doing is saying, no, I don't want you to do that to me. See the point? And what the person that's doing it might say is this, well, I'm just having self-determination. I'm just having my will enforced. The difficulty there is that we said that self-determination was about oneself, not about the other person. Okay, and self-determination is a private matter. It's something that you can do for yourself. It's not something that you can impose upon another, because that then goes all the way from number 1 all the way to number 5, which is domination, which is an imposition. It is being imposed. See the point? Now, the difficulty about these last two, submission and domination. Domination is a particularly difficult thing to handle, is that very often people feel that they have a divine right or some other right to impose themselves upon people, to coerce people into decisions that they don't want to take, or to invade their life in some way, or to actually lay hands upon them to force them to do what they don't want to do. So this is the thing that I wanted to really talk about today. These videos are all about the things that occur in the world today, and this is something that's very, very important. So remember, I'll go back through it. Remember, the first level is number 1, stable self-determination. The second one is stable relationship based upon prior agreement. There's no conflict of the will in the first two at all. Now, in the third one, we have the coming together of two wills into a mutual respect and an agreement with another person. This is the ideal. Okay, and then we have the fourth, which is where there's no agreement with the other person, but you submit to their will. It's permissible, it's pleasant, and it's based upon trust. And then the last one, which is always going to be bad, is domination, where there's no agreement with the will of another person. It is uncomfortable, it is unpleasant, it is coercion, it is imposition, it is invasion, and it can be violent. So there we are. I've said my little piece, and of course you can apply these things today. For example, you can apply these things today in terms of, say, the coronavirus, okay? Or you can apply these things today in terms of all the issues of life, in both marriage and in family and in home and in work and in business. Coercion, imposition, invasion, and violence have no place. They have no place in interpersonal relationships. Well, I hope that this little video has turned out to be interesting to you. It's been something for me to really try and get my head around. And it's very, very important that we understand that there's a limit to our own personal responsibility. There's a limit to our own will. We cannot impose ourselves. We cannot coerce people. We cannot invade people, let alone can we ever take up arms and be violent to one another. The ideal situation is either a stable relationship, a mutual respect, or submission. Those are the three that are the basis of effective and pleasant interpersonal relationships. Well, we look forward to talking to you on our next video. Have a wonderful day.